Hi, water is a precious resource that we use for various activities. However, most of these activities are making our water resources dirty and unfit for further use. You ever wondered what happens to the dirty water that is generated and where it goes? Is it dumped clearly or carelessly in water bodies, thus making them unfit for use too? Is it somehow put back into use? Let us find out. In this chapter, we will learn about how the dirty water is generated and how it can be put into use after treatment. So, let's listen to the lesson 18, Wastewater Story. Rich in lather, mixed with oil, black brown water that goes down the drains from sinks, showers, toilets, laundries is dirty. So, this dirty water is called wastewater. This used water should not be wasted. We must clean it up by removing pollutants. Have you ever thought where the wastewater goes and what happens to it? The clean water is a basic need of human being. But you have studied in chapter 16 about the increasing scarcity of fresh water due to population growth, pollution, industrial development, mismanagement, and other factors. Realizing the urgency of the situation on the World Water Day on 22nd March 2005, the General Assembly of the United Nations proclaimed the period 2005 to 2015 as the International Decade for Action on Water for Life. All efforts made during this decade aim to reduce by half the number of people who do not have access to safe drinking water. The cleaning water is a process of removing pollutants before it enters a water body or is reused. This process of wastewater treatment is commonly known as sewage treatment. It takes place in several stages. So we know that the sewage is a complex mixture containing pollutants. So before that, what is meant by a sewage? Sewage is wastewater released by homes, industries, hospitals, offices, and other uses. It also includes rainwater that has run down the street during a storm or heavy rain. The water that washes off roads and rooftops carries harmful substances with it. So, the sewage is a liquid waste. Most of it is water, which has dissolved and suspended impurities. Let's see what are the suspended impurities it has. So, the first one, the organic impurities. The organic impurities includes pesticides, oil, urine, human and animal waste, fruit and vegetable waste, etc. Inorganic impurities means metals, phosphates and nitrates. The third one, nutrients. It includes phosphorus and nitrogen. Bacteria causing diseases like cholera and typhoid. Other microbes causing diseases like dysentery. Now let's see, where does this domestic waste water go? You must have noticed that there are two sets of water pipes in your house. One set of pipes brings clean water and another set of pipes takes away wastewater. A channel of small and big pipes called sewer carrying sewage away from our houses is called sewerage. The most sewer pipes are underground, through which sewage is carried from the point of origin to where it has to be disposed, that is, to the treatment plant. As most of the sewers are underground, so an entrance is necessary to fix faulty pipes. The manholes are built for this purpose. You must have seen manholes located at a distance of every 50 to 60 meter in the back lanes of the most houses and on the roads. A manhole is built at the junction of two or more sewers or at a point where there is a change in direction. Manholes must always be covered. The cover of the manhole can be removed and a person can enter a sewer to fix a faulty pipe. So next see what happens to the wastewater in the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater is treated in wastewater treatment plants. A sewage contains solid substances, dissolved and suspended impurities, harmful chemicals, germs, etc. So the process involves the removal of physical, chemical, and biological contaminants from the wastewater. So there are three stages. One is the mechanical process, that is the physical process. The second one is the biological process. The third one is the chemical process. So in the how the treatment is done in the wastewater treatment plant, let's see. So the first step, the wastewater is passed through parallel bar screens, that means vertical bars, which help to remove solid materials like cans, sticks, plastic bags, etc. Then this water is passed through settling tanks called grit chambers. Here the speed of the incoming wastewater is reduced so that the sand, grit, pebbles and gravel settle down, which are then removed. In the third step, the wastewater is passed through a sedimentation tank called a clarifier. In this tank, the solid organic matter settles down, which is then removed with the scraper. The solid organic matter that settles down is called the sludge. A skimmer is used to remove floating materials like oil and grease. The water that emerges from the settling tank is called the clarified water. Now in the biological process, the sludge is then transferred to the separate tank where an aerobic bacteria acts on it. The biogas formed during this process is used as a fuel. It can also be used to produce electricity. Now, the next step, the clarified water is shifted to an aeration tank where air is pumped into it to allow aerobic bacteria to grow and consume organic contaminants like food waste, feces, soap that are still left in the water. Now in the third tertiary treatment, otherwise in the chemical treatment, the bacteria settle down at the bottom as activated sludge and the water is removed from the top. This activated sludge is about 97% water. So, the removal of water takes place by sand drying beds. The dried sludge is used as manure. It is discharged into a water body where the remaining impurities are cleaned up on its own by nature. The water obtained from water bodies may contain germs. So it is necessary to disinfect this before releasing into the distribution system. So the chemicals like chlorine and ozone are used to disinfect this water. So after disinfection, it is distributed through a well-defined distribution system. So there are three stages. One is the physical, otherwise the mechanical process. The second one, the biological process. The third one, the chemical process. So afterwards, this clarified water is used. That means the treated water is used for various purposes. Now let's see how we can control the sewage generation. See, one of the ways to minimize or eliminate waste and pollutants at their sources is to see what you are releasing down the drain. Cooking oil and fats should not be thrown down the drain. They can harden and block the pipes. In an open drain, the fats clog the soil pores, reducing its effectiveness in filtering water. Throw oil and fats in the dustbin. Chemicals like paints, solvents, insecticides, motor oil, medicines may kill microbes that help purify water. So do not throw them down the drain. Now the third point, used tea leaves, solid food remains, soft toys, cotton sanitary towels, etc. should also be thrown in the dustbin. These wastes choke the drains. They do not allow the free flow of oxygen. This hampers the degradation process. So we should take care what we are throwing down in the sewerage. So now next one we'll see what is meant by sanitation and disease. The poor sanitation and contaminated drinking water is the cause of large number of diseases. Let us look at our own country. A vast number of our people are still without sewerage facilities. Where do they relieve themselves? A very large fraction of our people defecates in the open on dry riverbeds, on railway tracks, near fields, and many a time directly in water. So the untreated human excreta is a health hazard. It may cause water pollution and soil pollution. Both the surface water and groundwater get polluted. The groundwater is a source of water for wells, tube wells, springs, and many rivers, as you have learnt in chapter 16. Thus, it becomes the most common route for waterborne diseases. They include cholera, typhoid, polio, meningitis, hepatitis, and dysentery. So what we have to do? We should make some alternate arrangement for sewage disposal. So what are the different stages? The first one is the septic tanks. The septic tanks is used in semi-urban area. It consists of one or more than one tanks connected to an inlet wastewater pipe at one end and the septic drain field at the other. In septic tank, the sewage is sent directly into a tank in which anaerobic bacteria decompose the waste. Now the second one is vermicomposting. You have studied in 6th standard what is meant by vermicomposting. In this method, red worms are used to treat human excreta and convert it into a harmless mass called vermicompost. This can be used as the manure for plants. So, what we have to do? We have to make the alternate arrangement, that is septic tanks, biogas plants and vermicomposting toilets can be used. Now if you see the sanitation at public places, in our country fairs are organized periodically. A large number of people participate in them. In the same way, railway stations, bus depots, airports, hospitals are very busy places. Thousands of people visit them daily. The large amount of waste is generated here. It must be disposed of properly, otherwise, epidemics could break out. The government has laid down certain standards of sanitation, but unfortunately, they are not strictly enforced. However, all of us can contribute in maintaining sanitation at public places. We should not scatter litter anywhere. If there is no dustbin in sight, we should carry the litter home and throw it in the dustbin. So we all have a role to play in keeping our environment clean and healthy. You must realize your responsibility in maintaining the water sources in a healthy state. Adopting good sanitation practices should be our way of life. As an agent of change, your individual initiative will make a great difference, influence others with your energy, ideas, and optimism. So, what we have to do? How to reduce the generation of sewage? Use flushers with low capacity. Never pour household products in the drain. Fix leakages in sewer pipes. These are the small things we can follow, otherwise, we can practice at home and we can control the sewage generation. Thank you. Read the textbook and find out the objectives and write. Thank you.